Hello, my name is Starlight. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and I'm reaching out to all of you beautiful souls out here. Out, are you guys out here with Starlight? Maybe some of you, well, one of you might be out here with Starlight. But anyway, I love you all, and I hope you're enjoying your day. What a beautiful day, Starlight says. Yes, it is a beautiful day. So, come on, get out in nature. No excuses. Put them away. Is to get out and find a place to go hiking, take a walk, or go fishing, swimming, whatever your thing is. Make sure you have plenty of water. And if you are new to my YouTube channel, welcome. And you could find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman. Plus, you could give this video a thumbs up, and you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Don't be afraid, don't be shy. Swing by and say, hi, Starlight. And you can also, like I said, leave a message down below, beep, 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 and you could share my videos with your family, your friends. I got to see a mommy duck and a baby duck. Yes, you could share my videos with the ducks. And I saw some fawns again with a deer today, and they, so sad. The mommy was on one side of the fence, and the babies were still stuck inside the cemetery area. So it's so sad. Starlight wanted to rescue them, but I didn't see a way for the gate to scare the heck out of them to get them out. But it's very risky to do that because the mommy will get there somehow or another. So I love you all, and also you could check out my Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that's Kathy with a K Dingman Starlight. And thank you all of you who have been there. I got some new people that are joining on my YouTube channel. I met some people today that saw my stickers. So hello to all of you, and thank you for giving Starlight a shot by coming by and saying hi, or checking out my videos, or even subscribing to my YouTube channel. So anyway, today is such a freaking important video. So this video can be it could be for anybody, but I'm really more focused on the females right now in this video. It's about how to protect yourself, females, out in this society, out in the world. This is what this video is about. It's so very important. So it's my whole my whole life of starting out, even as a kid, all the way up until today, of how to protect yourself out in this world. Is mainly for females, but a lot of you guys, you could take the same information, but of course just apply it to you as being a male, not a female. You still can stay a male. You don't have to change yourself. So men and women can get help from this, but this is really focused on females. So here we go. Is so how to protect yourself out in this world, and it's so important. And Starlight had, I'll tell you what, I've had a heck of a life, throughout my childhood, growing up as a kid, my teenage years. Like I said, I do repeat myself on my videos because if you're new to my YouTube channel, you're not going to know some of these things. And so, because Starlight started off on the streets before she turned 16, and so Starlight did start off on that kind of a note in life, is to do what I had to do in those times. So I have learned a lot of do not do's, and things to watch out for as far as your safety goes. And this, like I said, this can apply to men and women. So maybe I was thinking about the title, but maybe I'm going to just change the title around so men and women will watch this video. So it is so important. And so these are the things that I learned on my own without anybody telling me. Some things actually, I've heard people say things, but it didn't really apply to me. So one of the biggest things that I've heard, and what they actually teach in school, which doesn't always work out for some people like Starlight, and maybe it doesn't work out for you either, and I will explain what I'm talking about, is females or men, is that, a lot of times, they say to go out in two, don't go out by yourself, like to make sure you have somebody with you. Well, there's a big, huge problem to that situation, because what if nobody wants to go with you hiking? What are you going to do? Stay in your house forever because you can't find anybody to go with you? You would have a really miserable life, just staying inside, never going out anywhere because you don't have anybody to go with you. So that is why Starlight says, heck with that shit. I am going out. Nothing's going to stop me. I've been like this my whole life, getting out in nature, going on hikes, going in the woods. So, yes, if you do have somebody, that can go with you, that you are safe with, you just don't want to go with, somebody that you don't know. So make sure, number one, if you don't feel comfortable and you do want to go out for a hike, make sure, whether it's a guy or a girl, that you know them well enough to know that you're going to actually be safe with them. Yes, because and I don't know if they make that clear in school or not, or when they were educating this, or when they put it out. Because if you have a person to go with you, what if that person is up to no good, Especially women. You might have maybe a friend, a guy friend, or somebody that you met in school or on the streets, and you hang out here and there. But do you really even know them? Because, these days, the way people are, they think, hey, I just met you. I just had a lady the other day call me her friend. It's like, no, we just met. Hey, you're my friend now. No, we're not friends. So please, no, we're not friends. I just met you. I might have talked to you for like an hour or so, but that doesn't make me your friend. So no, we're not friends. So, and it's so important to understand this, even with your kids, is just because you know somebody, you think you know somebody, it doesn't mean that you know them. And so you got to make sure, number one, if you are with somebody, that you really, really know them, you got to know them. You don't want to walk with somebody and they got, they're thinking, yeah, I'll walk in the woods with you. They could set you for a trap, like bring you in a place that nobody really walks, where nobody really goes, and you feel, hey, I'm safe. They told me to make sure that I have somebody with me. Well, I do. I have somebody with me. Man, all kinds of crazy shit can happen in that situation. So make sure, if you feel more comfortable to have somebody with you, make sure you know that person well enough, and don't think, hey, it's my brother's friend. It doesn't matter if it's your brother's friend or your sister's friend. Because what if they don't really know their friend? Because everybody wants to say that they're my friend. Just because, the way society is, it teaches us to think that if you don't have any friends, then there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you because you don't have a friend. You should be your best friend. So I can't stress this out enough. Just because you think you know someone, it doesn't mean that you know them. And don't think that, because there's some people, they got secrets in their head they don't want you to know about. There's a lot of people that have they might have a thing for you and you might not even know it. They might have never showed you that side. They just were thinking about it all this time. And so it is so important. That's number one, is if you do have somebody with you, make sure you know them, Not that hey, we got to know each other for a month. Hey, now we can go take a walk. You got to be careful with that stuff. And I'm going to bring this up because I need to. This is going to, more than likely, it might be a 2-part video because there's so much information on this safety. When it comes to, say you think that you know someone and you trust them, now what you got to really be careful is, when there's drugs and alcohol involved with these people. I'll tell you what, if there's some kind of physical attraction, with you and that person that you feel safe with, and that you feel, hey, let's go take a walk together, and you feel that you know them because, I don't know how you know them and how long you've been with them, is that you got to be careful, because, it's been such a long time for Starlight to go through this herself. But some of you might not be aware of this, and some of you might be aware of this. So like certain drugs like marijuana, I have to say, if there's any physical kind of attraction, it can cause people to get turned on to each other. So you got to be careful when you are with somebody, and you might not even know it. You might not even know that they like you. Ladies, you might not even know they have a thing for you. But I'll tell you what, if you, start, like, whether you smoke marijuana or don't, and they might get you to smoke marijuana, it could cause them to get turned on, and it could turn on things in their body that, you might not be aware of, because you might not know that they are attracted to you. So yes, marijuana, if there's attraction, it could get people turned on to you without you even being aware. And so that is why it's so important that, even alcohol, there's people I've known in my past, they were one way when they weren't drinking alcohol, and when they got drinking alcohol, some deer, man, that's awesome. They were galloping, so I couldn't get this on the video, it's too far away. It might be on the video if I got it zoomed in, but yeah, so you got to really watch out. Alcohol is another thing that Starlight had to learn the hard way, is, a person that you know or you don't know very well, and, they could, there's a deer, I see. So they could secretly like you, and you might not even be aware of it. And when they could be one way when they drink the alcohol, and where they never showed any sign that they like you. And then you guys decide, hey, let's have some beer and let's smoke some pot. And so there is something, and I'm trying to think of how they say this. There is a name for this. Oh man, I gotta think of this name. There's a name, and I've met people like this, that because alcohol or drugs can actually turn a switch on and different things. Heckle and Jekyll, I don't know. There's a name where some of you might know the name, what I'm trying to say. So if you could think of this, Dr. Heckle and Mr. I don't know, something like that. I'm getting so close to the thing. But you got to watch out, especially if you don't really know someone, is they can turn on you freaking quick. Dr. Heckle and Mr. Hyde, I don't know. I think that's the name of it, where they can be really smooth and, calm and relaxing. And before you know it, bam, they change. They switch up. You don't even know, so alcohol could actually make people turn like that. And then alcohol has a way of actually people, they end up admitting to things that they normally wouldn't admit to. They could actually start getting, I'm going to say it because we're all adults, I hope, here. They could get horny, get turned on. And the alcohol could be doing a lot of talking. Before they weren't talking very much, and now they're super, super, super turned on to you. And it could really mess your mind up. I'll tell you, it could really mess your mind. You're like, man, I thought I knew this person, and then, and you're trying to figure out, why are they, you can't even put the pieces together because things happen so quick. But isn't this beautiful? Is they could go from acting like a friend, and then before you know it, they're starting to touch you, and now you're getting upset. You're like, I never seen this part of this person. Why are they acting like this? And it does. It takes. You might not even figure it out that day, or that moment. It might take you some time to realize there was a switch that happened, and that alcohol could really mess people up in different ways. So you really got to watch out for that. Starlight had to learn the hard way on these things in my life, is, learning about all kinds of things when it comes to safety. So, all right, so those are about being, and like I said, I can't stress this out enough. Make sure you know the person if you're going to go somewhere, especially if you're going to go somewhere like out on a hiking trail. You don't know the hiking trail. That person knows their way, their ins and outs, but you don't. It's the first time you've ever been there on that hiking trail. So please, 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 don't put yourself in a situation that you're going to regret later on. And when it comes to all of this about spending time with other people, whether you think you know them or not, the other thing is on this is that you got to really be super careful. I have never gone through this in my life, but I've heard stories about this. If you don't know someone, which more than likely you might not know them because it takes a long time to really get to know them, is you got to really watch out, no matter if you're a guy or a girl, is, people could stick things in your drink without you knowing about it. So you don't want, unattended drinks laying around. You don't want to be, even if you go to a bar, even if it's at your house, even if it's outside, it doesn't matter where the blank you are, is you really got to keep an eye on, the people that you have in your life and the people that you spend time with, because you don't know what's in their head. They could have a crush on you and they never said anything. They're afraid. They're afraid of rejection. So they never say anything, and they could have like these fantasies that you're not even aware of, and you gotta really keep yourself safe. And that is why it's so important, again, to make sure you know the people that you're spending any time with. That's why Starlight's out here all by herself. Because it does take a lot of, it takes a long time to really get to know people. I've had people that wanted to go hiking with Starlight, and I did not do that because I don't know you. So the other thing is, these things are just coming out of my mind left and right. The other thing is it is really, 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 really super important to know your surroundings. I can't stress that out enough. Even when I was a teenager, how many times have Starlight ran and hid somewhere as a teenager? I was younger than 15 years old. I would go on, there was a lot of trails where I grew up, and on these trails when I grew up, there was a lot of men from school that I knew or didn't know that had 4-wheelers and 3-wheelers, riding their bikes or even dirt bikes all over on these trails. So you really got to keep yourself safe, and you got to watch out for these things. Always keep your eye open. If you do go in an unknown area, is, be alert. Pay attention to things, Listen, use your ears, Don't have your radio on and, where you can't hear anything coming. And I don't want to scare you, but this video is so important that you do pay attention to your surroundings, Get to know the areas when you go for a hike. Keep yourself safe, but you don't want to put yourself in an unknown area, and you got to really know because if you're in trouble and you need to run, you want to know where that trail, and you don't have to stay on the trail. Believe me, Starlight would not be on the trail. Starlight is freaking somewhere else. Starlight is not going to be on the trail. I'll dive in the bushes, I'll jump up in the tree, but you got to keep yourself safe when it comes to especially out hiking. I did put a story out a long time ago. It was amazing. I did have a man that tried to trap me on these trails. I was learning my way around in these trails, and there are some places on these trails that said do not enter, you couldn't go through. I don't know why, but they had them closed off. And so I did put a video out a long time ago, and I even put Starlight even Starlight out-tricked the guy. He didn't realize it, but I did take a picture of him, and I even put it right on the video. The man that was in that video was the man that was really hunting Starlight, you know. So Starlight has survival instincts, I think that is what I would call it, is the do's and don'ts as far as when you're going out hiking. And I have to say, the other thing that I learned as far as growing up and keeping yourself safe out in public or even on hiking trails is to not wear bright clothing when you're going. Now, I do this on these videos because there's other people that are out hiking. But, you know, when I started out, when I had my own place and I had a dog, Starlight, when I was working on building a fort out in the woods, I wore camouflage. I blended in with the woods. That way, you know, knowing that I'm a female, you know, you never know who's out in the woods. You know, you never know. And on these trails here, I don't know my way around. That's why I'm getting to know my way around now. And there's other people out here. And is that by blending in with the nature, that way, if you ever, you know, have a situation or a problem that happens, you know, because this has happened to me when that one guy was stalking me in the woods on a hiking trail, is I was wearing bright red. I was wearing a bright red tank top, and Starlight was quick. I took that shirt right off. Starlight had a bra on, don't worry, I had my bra on, you know, but I'll tell you what, I wasn't going to run around with that red shirt. I had my backpack. I grabbed me a nice thick piece of wood that I felt it in my hand. I said, yeah, this is a great stick to knock somebody right in the head. You know, I wasn't screwing around, man. I was being serious about this shit. I wasn't going down. I was gonna defend myself. So I was like Rambo, running around in the woods, hiding, waiting, being patient. And I'll tell you what, you learn a lot from the animals, because I've learned a lot from the animals. Most animals are really patient. You know, like the certain animals like the crows or vultures or ravens, different birds that actually like human food, that they're really patient. You know, they don't just run right out there. Now geese, on the other hand, geese will run right out there. They don't care. But I'll just show you this beautiful view out here. So that is what you gotta, I'll tell you what, if you're wearing bright colors, it's not a wise thing to do if you're by yourself somewhere, and you might want to, you know, just run around with your bra, because I tell you what, it's better off to run around with a bra on than to have like a bullseye mark, you know, like a red shirt with a bullseye mark right on your shirt saying "Here I am," because you know you're gonna stand out like a sore thumb on the hiking trails, and they're gonna spot you. You won't be able to really hide that well when you got those bright colors. So it's so important to make sure, if you're going out for a hike, that hey, don't wear white, don't wear red, you know, wear something that's gonna blend. See, now this is a bad spot for Starlight to be. See, look at this. I'm on this trail, I don't know it, but it's a dead end. What am I gonna do? What is Starlight gonna do? See, this is why you need to know your surroundings. See, this is a cliff. What am I gonna do now? If there was somebody that was behind me, there's a trail. Here's this, you know, I'm not gonna go up there, there's no way. See, I got myself in a spot. Oh no, what am I gonna do? Jump? What am I gonna do? See, that's why it's so important that you know your area, you know your surroundings, because this is a dead end. This is a dead end. That's why Starlight's out here getting to know her way around more. So just like playing hide-go-seek in a house somewhere, you don't want to go on a trail, and if you know the trails, you don't want to go where there's no way out. And that is what that one guy was doing with me on the one video is, shit, you know. I'll tell you what, this would have been a hard place to escape right here. This is the dead end spot. And that's why it's so important. You never trap yourself on a trail and, you know, where there's no way out. You want to make sure you know those areas. That's why it's so good to know your surroundings. Don't, you know, get familiar with places, but keep yourself safe by blending in with nature, not standing out like a sore thumb. Because you never know what people are doing out in the woods. They could be on some kind of drug. They could have like some, because there's men, not all men are like this, but there's a lot of men, and it might not even matter what age they are. They have, you know, they might be watching too much porn. You know, they might be going through something and you don't know. And their sexuality might be so strong. And when they see you, it's not going to matter the clothes that you're wearing. You know, a lot of people say, you know, women shouldn't wear certain clothing. And I don't think it really has a lot to do with that, because they're just something with those men that it doesn't matter about your clothes. You could just be a beautiful girl in clothes. So, and it doesn't even have to be that you're a beautiful girl either, because I've learned this in my life, that there are men that are, and I'm going to word it just the way I'm going to say it, that are so horny, they would go with anything. When I say anything, that means any girl. They don't care, you know? So it doesn't matter what you look like. You know, there's men that I've known in my life, and I've heard them talk, you know, where they didn't care about what the girl looked like, you know? And they ended up getting drunk, and then they would go with any girl. They didn't care. So don't think because you look a certain way, hey, I don't have to worry about that, Starlight, because I'm not a beautiful girl. I don't have a sexy body. Believe me, a lot of men don't care. And I'm not saying all men are like this. I'm just saying there are a percentage out there. They don't care. They don't care. They just want one thing, and that's it. So you got to keep yourself safe. And so Starlight's learning her way around. And you didn't know this, but I did avoid one area because I don't know that spot. And I'm not going to trap myself in that location because I've never been there. So Starlight is going to go a different way around. Actually, it's right here. There's, see it. So this is the spot I'm avoiding because it's like a cement building and I don't know what's in the building. So you can't really see it. So Starlight's back on the trail that she started. So these are things that are so important. Like I said, I know this is going to be a long video. So I'm actually going to, because it's 27 minutes on this video right here. So this is just part one of how to keep yourself safe. And it's a lot of stuff. Things that people never think about. Things that people never heard of or never experienced, or, you know, because I've had many things happen to me in my lifetime. And when you go through certain things, you know, now you can actually, you know, share your wisdom because you've experienced things in your life that now you know, I could share my wisdom and knowledge with other women or men, because it doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl. It's about how to protect yourself outside, you know, out in society. And so, hang on, I'm going to get to this shady spot here. I got to make sure it's safe before I start talking. So yeah, I have plenty more to say on this topic as far as keeping yourself safe. Ooh. So I love you so much. It's a lot of information. There's no way I can tell you and go to the deep details of this topic in one video, like a half hour. Absolutely not. There's so much more. I just did the surface part of how to keep yourself safe from people that you don't know or know. Yeah. So anyway, I do love you. So this is just a part one. So I love you. You could give this video a thumbs up. And this is great for your kids. These are videos that are great for your kids. You know, when they're growing up, teenage years, they need to learn this stuff. This is stuff teenagers don't know nothing about. at least most of the stuff that I'm putting out. So if you got teenagers, you could share this information. Oh my, yeah, you didn't think of it because you didn't go through it. You didn't witness it. You didn't know about it. And that's why you got to be mindful of what is out there and all the different angles that this goes as far as keeping yourself safe or even your children when they get out on their own, you know? So anyway, I do love you, and you could give this video a thumbs up. You could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, you can leave me a message down below, beep, 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 and you can share these videos with your family, your friends, your teenagers, your grandkids when they're growing up, you know, when they're getting up in those ages of getting out in society, and, you know, when they're maturing enough where you're like, hey, you're proven that you're an adult. So I got a lot more on this topic. So you can also check out my playlist and find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook and as Kathy with a K, Ding Starlight. I love you all. This is, you know, I never thought of this video. I did make a video a long time ago when that man was in the woods, you know, but nothing happens by accidents, and there's no coincidence. So anyway, I love you all, and I really hope you get a lot of help. You can check out my, yeah, I already said my Instagram, but yes, it is so important to watch the whole video, you know, don't just skip parts because you're missing out on stuff. And like I said, this is for men and women. Thank you. And this is Starlight. Namaste. Love, light, and peace. Namaste.